At the World Cup opening in natural track luge, we unveil the secrets of a particularly challenging track, speak to the very best about their strengths and weaknesses, and don't miss a second of their battle for the first trophies of the season. Once more, the World Cup kicks off in Kühtai, an hour's drive from Innsbruck. The track, located at 2,020 meters altitude, is a tough nut to crack. World Cup athlete Mickey Scheichel explains why. The track in Kühtai is relatively short. There are two big S-curves and a drawn-out final bend. It's a fast start as the terrain drops off significantly straight away. And then we have the transition from a left to a very tight right-hand turn, which is really difficult. As athletes, we have to be extremely active here, and that makes it technically very demanding. Next up is another big succession of turns, from left to right. This doesn't work out very well in this case, as the athlete starts turning too late into the first turn. He drifts off and gets quite close to the boards as he exits the second turn. As a result, he needs to slow down, and then he doesn't have enough speed for the final bend. Then comes a couple of basic turns where the athletes pick up high speeds for the drawn-out final left bend. Race time is around 30 seconds. A very tight, technically demanding track that will surely make for exciting racing. Let's kick off with the doubles then. Here are the best three teams from the past season. The overall World Cup went to Florian Clara and Patrick Pinggera for the 9th time. Last year, the highly decorated crew was virtually unbeatable. Of course, we hope to carry on the way we finished last season. Preparations have gone well, and we haven't changed too much. Russian evergreens Poshnev and Lazarev claim second place, but they're highly motivated to get that title back come the end of the season. As the season's just started, we're unable to say where we are, but our goal is to fight for the top spots. This is also true for their teammates Egorov and Popov, who finished third last season and will certainly not be satisfied with less than that this time around. We have truly grandiose plans. We want to take gold at the World Championships. It's something we've trained for 20 years. Our weakness? We started training late this season. We're also not among the youngest anymore, which is why it's not easy for us to be racing fast and well straight away. Almost all World Cup races are in Europe, so every race is like an away game for us. Let me think. No, we don't talk about weaknesses. Our biggest strength? We're just the perfect fit, and we both know what our job is on the luge. We've also complemented each other perfectly for many years. Our strength? We've been around for many years, and that's why we can assess our fitness levels quite precisely. Our strengths? We're Russians. That's our strength. So it's time for action now. Let's look at the doubles finals. There are two teams sitting atop the leaderboard after the first run, Pinggera Clara and Brugler Angerer, both with the exact same time. Here are the 6 best races of the final round. Let's start with Patrick and Matthias Lambacher. It's the brothers' first outing in Kühtai, and they are about 1.5 seconds adrift in 6th place. It's actually the first season for the Italians in the highest league on the natural track luge, and they can't be accused of being passive in the first turn. There may be yet some refinement work to do here. However, they stay in front as their lead was a rather comfortable 0.66 seconds. After mastering the second key point with ease, a little touch of the boards, and a great first World Cup for the brothers nonetheless. In fifth position after the first run, another pair of youngsters, this time from Austria. Achenreiner Brugger are just 0.27 of a second ahead of Lambacher brothers, in total control as they tackle the first corners before Fabian Achenreiner and Miguel Brunner also pass the second left-right test with flying colors. They took both the World Championships and the World Cup titles in the junior category this year, and they've more than doubled their lead across the finish line, at least fifth place. Fourth place Poshnev Lazarev were most unhappy with their first run and are very motivated to show off their true skills this time around. In the highly technical upper section, the Russians use all their experience to their advantage. A very smooth line. Their lead on Achenreiner Brugger was 0.35 seconds, and it keeps growing. Nothing to complain about here either. Not a perfect, but a solid performance by Pavel Poshnev and Ivan Lazarev. Almost half a second faster than in the first round, but will that be enough for a podium? That's where their teammates would prefer to stay. Igorov Popov in third place at the moment, but only 0.15 seconds up on Poshnev Lazarev. The overall bronze medalists from last season are on fire, maneuvering their luge through the tight corners on a nearly perfect line. But Alexander Igorov and Peter Popov don't look as dynamic as their colleagues and have lost their lead at the second intermediate time. Will they be able to close the gap again? No, it's second place, 0.08 down. They're not happy while Poshnev Lazarev celebrate their podium finish. There are only two pairs left up at the start, both with exactly the same time from round one. Firstly, Brugler-Angerer, who are just 0.4 seconds ahead of the Russians, are up front. After blasting out of the starting blocks, the reigning world champions move in perfect harmony despite not having had much time to train together on ice. No issues with the first challenge, just another day in the office for the Austrians. They stay in the lead, increasing it even more in the second S-curve, which results in a very high speed on the lower sections of the course. And once they cross that finish line, Rupert Brugler and Tobias Angerer will know what they've pulled off. A true masterpiece. What will be Pinggera Clara's answer? Will they be able to beat that fantastic sub-30-second time? They were nearly unbeatable last season. Patrick Pinggera and Florian Clara have earned 9 overall World Cup wins together and are set to be the strongest doubles pair in this year too. Starting off with the same time as the Austrians, the Italians fall behind their rivals already in the first intermediate. Will they be able to use their fine technical skills and perfect coordination to their advantage further down? Not quite yet. They're still somewhat adrift. The final few meters towards the finish line and their 0.28 back at the end. Disappointment for Pinggera Clara. Brugler-Angerer over the moon though about kicking off the season in style with their first victory in front of the home crowd. It's very difficult to deal with those tight curves, but that suits our way of racing. We enjoy more interesting courses where we need to work hard. We got here yesterday and saw after 2 training runs that things couldn't be any better. And then we actually won this. Incredible. It was quite difficult for us to get the right fine-tuning. We had small issues during training with the track being technically very demanding. We weren't able to give it 110% this time. And consequently, it's the first time since the first Kühtai World Cup race back in 2014 that the victory in the doubles does not go to Pinggera Clara. Brugler-Angerer are able to shine. Poshnev Lazarev will be satisfied with moving up to third. Let's move over to the women now. These were the fastest female lugers of 2017-18. For the third time in her career, Austria's Tina Unterberger took the Crystal Globe with the bronze ribbon. Wouldn't it be amazing to move up one step this season? It would be cool to get another color for once, but it's still much better to earn third 4 times than finishing fourth a third time. I've managed to do that too already. With a crash in Umhausen, Greta Pinggera of Italy lost her title chances in the very last race and had to make do with second as a result. It took me some time to get over that race. It was a huge defeat for me, so I needed a couple of months away from the sport to regain motivation. But I've still trained hard and I am more motivated than ever now. The same is true for overall winner Evelin Lanthaler. However, the Italian doesn't have her eyes set only on the World Cup. It's the World Championships this season, and that'll be my chance for me to settle the score. I have to admit, that's my main goal. My biggest strength? Good question. My sense of humor? Surely my mental strength. I've learned a lot in that respect over the years, and I've become mentally quite strong by now. My biggest strength, I'd say, is to quickly get over issues and look ahead when things don't work out as planned. A weakness? I can't keep my mouth shut, but in luge, I would say it's my start. Tight corners like the ones in Kühtai. But I've also found out that I can be fast here if I only try hard enough. It's better not to talk a lot about weaknesses. It's back to business now for the women and the decisive second run. Evelin Lanthaler has shown an incredibly strong performance in the first round, creating a lead of more than 1 second over the rest of the field. On her heels, Pinggera and the youngster Alexandra Fatner. Here are the top 6. Austria's shooting star Michelle Diepold is in 6th place before the final run, with a lead of only 0.05 over the athlete behind her. But Diepold is looking ahead, of course, eager to earn her first World Cup podium after finishing 4th 4 times in the past season. Today, she is merely 0.17 of a second away from the medals following the first run. The 2016 Junior World Champion keeps increasing her lead throughout the run, also looking very strong in the lower sections of the course. But will it be fast enough to climb the leaderboard? The Grande Dame of natural track luge, Ekaterina Lavrantieva, will surely want to prevent that from happening, and if possible even climb the leaderboard herself. Between 2005 and 2015, the Russian was virtually unbeatable, clinching title after title. She is slower than Diepold in the upper sections though, but then she only did have a minuscule lead of 0.04 seconds. Lavrantieva is hungry for more in the second season after giving birth to twins, and at the next intermediate time, she is ahead again. Taking her lead across the finish line, Lavrantieva improves on her first round time, finishing 5th or better. Tina Unterberger would certainly have wanted to start a little later. The 32-year-old is a true Kühtai fan, winning her first World Cup on this terrain, which suits her skills perfectly. But she's in 4th after the first run, so it's time to attack, finding the quickest way through the corners and using the extremely fast changes of direction to her advantage. The Austrian manages to do just that, keeping her lead of 0.1 seconds, and she's equally efficient in the second S-curve. Speedy run for her, well executed, better time than in the first. Tina Unterberger is now hoping things don't work out as well for the other women. Three of them are still to race. The youngest at the top is Alexandra Fatner, and a World Cup podium would be a huge success for the 19-year-old. Fatner has recently crowned herself Junior World Champion and World Cup winner, but she's yet to win laurels at the highest level. She had a microscopic margin of 0.03 seconds over Unterberger, which she's able to keep at first, but soon the lead is gone, possibly not the same drive as with Unterberger. Fatner is 0.2 down at the end, but still, 4th place is a great result for the up-and-coming athlete. Defending Kühtai champion Greta Pinggera is getting ready. She's more than a second down on Evelin Lanthaler's fantastic first-round time. Attacking her is an uphill battle, and there are only 1,900 separating Pinggera from Unterberger. But she is highly motivated after her World Cup final mishap. Pinggera goes full throttle straight away. Not entirely clean there, but a textbook mastery of the next corners. The lower section's wide turns are her cup of tea anyway, and she keeps picking up speed, bettering her time from the first run. Pinggera is safe in second place, a strong start to the season on a difficult track. So now it's time for Evelin Lanthaler in a league of her own in the first round. Will she manage to fly down this track again? The Italian holds a gigantic lead of 1.04 seconds. She could simply go for a cruise, but that's not Lanthaler's style. Once more, the 27-year-old chooses a very bold line and is rewarded with blistering fast times. She's equally in control at the next key point, racing through the corners most elegantly before calmly harvesting the fruits of her labor at the bottom of the course. Across the finish line, Evelin Lanthaler has even increased her lead. What a phenomenal season opener. A victory at the first race of the season is very important for me. I always aim to score high at the kickoff. However, it's my first victory in Kühtai and also the first time I actually managed to win the opener. I'm more than satisfied. Lanthaler ahead of Pinggera and Unterberger. The Kühtai podium from last year in a slightly different order. Now it's time for the gentlemen, and these are the top three from last year. Will they equally dominate this season? Thomas Kammerlander crowned himself overall champion for the second time in a row, winning 50% of all the World Cup races. Does he approach his sport differently now? The only thing that's changed is that I'm more relaxed, because I've simply reached some of my goals. I don't have to win anymore. Thus far, silver's been the best result for Alex Gruber overall, but he's aiming even higher for the upcoming season. What really satisfied me was that I was in the mix in every single race. That's why it was a really good season. My focus this year is on the overall World Cup, to win the gold there. Patrick Bignetta finished in third. Perhaps a little too pampered by success, this was the worst result for the Italian since 2004. If you finish second or third all of a sudden, you start thinking differently, and it's not always easy to handle this. Now I'm not the fox anymore, but the hunter, and that's definitely a new challenge. But maybe a challenge was exactly what I needed. One of my biggest strengths is definitely my mental strength. I'm a relatively aggressive loser, sometimes a bit of a daredevil, which is beneficial on some tracks, but a disadvantage on others. On those, I need to step back and race with more caution. The training throughout the summer and the winter, if I decide to do something, I always give it 100%. If not, I let it be. Weakness? Maybe my biggest weakness is maintaining the gear, where I'm not as skilled as others. My biggest weaknesses are Austrian tracks. Austrians build different tracks with tighter corners. That's maybe a weakness. I can't think of any right now. In that spirit, let's see how these gentlemen have locked horns. Thomas Kammerlander was fastest in the first run, but the gaps are tiny. The top 5 men are all within 0.12 of a second of each other. In 6th place, ahead of the final run, Florian Clara. Just like his doubles partner Pinggera, the Italian is also racing in the singles. He's got a small margin of 0.15 seconds, so he needs a very good performance to keep his position. There's no time to lose, and that's exactly what he manages to do. Very dynamic at the top, increasing his lead as he goes. It's going well for Clara. The 30-year-old masters the tricky track most skillfully. No issues at the bottom of the course either, almost the same time as in the first run. Clara happy about 6th place or better. Mickey Scheichel's aim for the season opener? To be in the mix for the top spots. He's very close, a mere 1,200 separate him from the current leader. Can he climb the leaderboard with a really fast second run? The margin over Florian Clara is growing steadily. Easy money for the experienced Austrian at the second key point, and now it's all about carrying the speed through the bottom of the track towards the finish line. Scheichel also shows 2 equally fast runs and will finish no worse than 5th. A nice start to the season for the 31-year-old. Teammates Scheichel and Glatzl clocked the same time in the first run. So who wins the national competition in the decisive round? Florian Glatzl hasn't finished on a World Cup podium yet, but maybe his time has come now. The 25-year-old is highly motivated, not crystal clean, but very fast. Ahead of Scheichel in the upper sections, then an extremely precise line in the second S-curve, equally superior on the bottom parts. Florian Glatzl with a really good performance, much quicker than in round 1. The Austrian keeps up his hopes for a podium finish. Now it's crunch time. Alex Gruber is not a fan of this type of track with tight corners and fast changes of direction. But his first run was quick and he's eager to improve on it in the final. The gaps are tiny, there's no room for error. At first, the 26-year-old clocks the 3rd fastest time only, but he moves on in his signature style. Most aggressively, Gruber finds the quickest way through the corners and is rewarded with the best intermediate time. The bottom section suits his ways perfectly anyway, and so the Italian tops the leaderboard with an outstanding run time. Not an easy task for the current leaders, Kammerlander and Pinggera. Gruber's teammate has won the overall 11 times in a row, dominating the field almost at will. But throughout the last 2 years, fierce competition has changed things, and Patrick Pinggera is not the sole towering figure anymore. The Italian is only 700ths up on Gruber, so he must attack from the get-go. But he's only in 4th position up there. He needs the perfect dance on the ice now, and there it is. Pinggera is second again, and his opus is nearly complete. Or is it not? 3rd place only, and this could be the first podium here without Pinggera. Florian Glatzl takes a medal. It's up to this man now. Thomas Kammerlander, overall winner and 2017 Kühtai champion. He loves this track, and he's from the neighboring Ötztal. It's virtually in his backyard. His trip over was very short, and now it's about racing very fast to keep his competitors at bay, because his winning margin of 900ths of a second is minute. The 28-year-old keeps his lead despite being a little off the ideal line up there. Kammerlander looks very smooth, but perhaps he lacks just a tiny bit of Gruber's drive, and he is adrift before long. The gaps are ridiculously small. What can he do in the bottom section? It's the silver medal, 0.03 seconds down on Gruber. Kühtai is always a very special race, and Austrian tracks, just like we said, are not my cup of tea. I kind of messed up in the first run. I could have clocked a much better time, but then in that second run I stayed calm and showed what I'm capable of. That worked out really well, and I have to admit that luck was on my side today because I haven't seen such a tight and exciting race for quite some time. Gruber takes his first Kühtai victory with local hero Thomas Kammerlander finishing second. The bronze medal goes to Florian Glatzl, who earns his first World Cup podium today. And that's all we have time for from the Winter Wonderland, a truly exciting start to the season where all the winners who emerged were victorious in Kühtai for the very first time. The Natural Track show will go on in the new year as the best losers will race for glory in Italy.